Hail Internets, it's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We're here, a little belatedly, talking about Aquaman. Look at this. Paul got a collectible ticket.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding. Well done, sir.
And here's how important it is to me.
Ouch. Okay. All right. So feelings known.
Yeah.
No, I don't think either of us hated this movie.
No, I didn't hate it.
Okay. So
it wasn't like watching Batman versus Superman or.
Suicide Squad is the worst. I know we've argued about that, but it is it is miles above Suicide Squad. It is a better movie than that.
I don't know. I'll put miles above.
Okay. All right. It is 100 yards ahead of.
Because it's like I was gonna say Civil War, or Winter Soldier. Like, how far is that above?
Oh yeah, good point.
If you put miles, then you really
you gotta go
like
stratosphere.
planets. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so we are gonna talk about it, and there's some good points and some bad points, and we'll cover that. Sure. I wanted to just kind of in the beginning make a little disclaimer for myself particularly, and it's not so much a Marvel thing, although it is kind of a Marvel thing, but it's just my aversion to Aquaman predates any of like the Marvel movies or anything like that. When I was a kid, back in the 70s, lived in Frankfurt, Germany on an army base, and they had like a couple of cartoons. You had a very limited window of cartoons on the 2 channels we got. Well, Saturday mornings, Namor the Submariner would come on, along with Mighty Mouse. Anyway, I was like, Mighty Mouse and Submariner were and Thor would come on after that, actually. Wow. And so
was Mighty Mouse the reason why you can't stand Mickey?
Yep. Yep, that's fine. Disney, I can't. No, okay.
Curse you.
For the Thor, actually, I had a little hammer that I'd throw around the house. It was a squeaky hammer, though. It was like, shka-prank, shka-prank. My parents loved that. All right, Submariner, I'd watch him. Had that little intro where he'd leap out of the water, much like you see at the end of Aquaman, the little pose he makes. And it described all his powers, which sounded really cool. And the intro song was like, he can breathe underwater, he can fly through the air, he can kill demons of the deep. He's the Lord of the Deep. It was like, demons beware.
Oh, wow.
For Namor of Atlantis is the king of the deep. Something like that. Anyway, I was hooked. I was in. Go get him, Submariner. So then later when I started watching, I watched Super Friends all the time, and Aquaman seemed like a pale imitation of Submariner to me. Now, because I saw Submariner first,
yes,
and I was all into Submariner, and I was like, this guy, wah,
poser.
Yeah, you. And so I always had something against Aquaman after that, because and there's no reason for it. It's just, probably if I'd started watching Aquaman first, maybe I would have hated Submariner, but it wasn't. That's not the way it went. I watched Submariner, and I thought that was a copy. Plus, you have a good point about Super Friends. I'll let you say why you think Aquaman has become a joke over the years.
Well, yeah. I think in the Super Friends, people often comment about how he didn't seem to be especially helpful. Like, how many times do you need to talk to a fish to get out of a problem?
Right. How many water-based problems did they have? Right. Not many.
And then, I think it was SNL that had all these characters hanging out at a party, whatever, and it was Garen Morris, and people were ranking on Aquaman, because of that, or at least because they made him seem like he was pretty pathetic. And, of course, Entourage, there was a weird sort of thing there with the main character he's going to play Aquaman. So it's like as a character, I think it was interesting that they chose Momoa, Jason Momoa, to play him, because it's going against the original type,
right? I
feel
maybe they thought like you that Super Friends had basically turned him into a joke, and so why not go against that?
They thought, yeah.
And I think it kind of goes to an interesting point. So I loved Namor. But that was a solo cartoon. Like, Namor would go and fight an octopus.
Right.
Namor saves Atlantis from underwater attackers. Super Friends was the team-up show. And I feel like maybe if Namor had been in a team-up show, I might have thought the same thing perhaps about Namor.
The interesting thing about the character of Namor, though, he wasn't generally not a very good team member.
Well, he could also fly, so you could do things where he wasn't necessarily underwater, but for the most part,
that's true.
his underwater adventures.
Yes, right. Well, yeah, he did have those wings on his feet.
Yes, wings on his feet. Wings on his feet, damn it. That's how cool he was. Little Speedo. Just walk around on land. What? Oh, what are you talking about?
But this is about Iron Man.
This is about Iron Man? Oh, okay.
Oh, Aquaman. See, I've forgotten who he's even in this now.
All right, so yes, so I'm just putting that out there as like, I was already kind of like, you got to prove it to me, Aquaman.
Yes.
All right, so I take that.
That's how he came into it.
Yeah. All right, so let's start with things that we liked about this movie.
Okay.
I'll say one.
Okay, go ahead. Hope you won't take mine.
Oh, okay. I appreciated their depiction of the underwater world, right? So the colors, it was a much brighter version of a DC movie than we've seen in the past. It was fantastical, but in a way that I appreciated it. It didn't look, I mean, at times it looked a little cartoony, but then again, it's underwater and it's a seahorse with armor. All right, fine. So I appreciated the vibrancy of the cinematography. It was pretty to look at in a lot of cases.
Yeah, sure. I liked Willem Dafoe in it.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, was pleasant surprised that it was Dolph Lundgren who was in that movie. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Dolph Lundgren.
That's freaking Dolph Lundgren.
He can actually act.
Go get him, Dolph.
Yeah.
Who's got like a degree? Doesn't he have like? He's actually the actor Dolph Lundgren has like advanced degrees
good for
in
him.
Science and stuff.
Good for him.
Anyway, just interesting because he always plays the.
Yeah, yes.
Me kill. What was it about Willem Dafoe that you liked?
I thought, I mean, it was credible that Aquaman's brother could trust Willem Dafoe's character.
Orm and Volko?
Yes. Right. But, so he was good at being duplicitous in an honorable way.
Right.
Like, I didn't have any suspicion about him, but I thought he was honorable, and I thought he really cared about Aquaman. But, I felt like it was credible that Aquaman's brother should be like, oh yeah, well, let's carry out this plan. It's like, you can almost say, like, he was going against you for so long. It wasn't until the very end of and he didn't even kill the guy, which is good, because, why would you go and kill, that would be bad for the movie. It's like, better to have Willem Dafoe in the second movie.
Gotcha. You were thinking ahead.
Yeah, well, he's just a good character, a good actor playing the character. Don't kill him off. Value him.
That is something I appreciated, actually, because I've mentioned this as a negative in some Marvel movies, that they are too quick to kill off the villains.
Right.
They didn't kill the villains.
No, they didn't kill any of the villains.
They left them around. They're like, good.
We shall talk. Okay,
good.
We'll talk.
Good. So that was I thought that choice to not bump them off was good. Also, kind of on your talk, you're mentioning Willem Dafoe, that his character was duplicitous in a good way. I like in some ways, we've seen this archetype before of the brothers who would be king. But it subverts it a little bit in that. So, for instance, again, we'll talk about it in Marvel terms. Thor versus Loki, and then T'Challa versus Killmonger.
Sure. They're not brothers,
right?
But yes.
Well, they're half brothers, right?
No.
He has a claim to the throne.
Yes, but that's because it's his.
It's his cousin. Good point. They're not brothers.
They're not brothers.
Good point. They're related, but not brothers.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's a similar idea of like yes. Okay. So, but in this case, if this was a Marvel version of that, then Orm would be your hero, because Thor and T'Challa are kind of like, we're the rightful kings. Oh, but we've got a challenger. In this case, seems like the outsider, the like uncouth outsider, would be.
I see what you're
Arthur.
saying.
And so it's like what they've done is they've taken the outsider trying to usurp the throne is actually the good guy. As opposed to Loki, he's the Loki Killmonger,
Right.
coming from outside. I've never been in your world before, but I'm
Right.
gonna.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess the things that necessitate that, right, is the differences between Atlantis and Wakanda and Asgard.
Yeah.
Right. So Asgard is not really a part of Earth. It's in a different realm entirely. So it doesn't have to resolve the connection to Earth in the same way. And Wakanda is all about staying away from the world, and so that was the drama in that, where Killmonger was like, here, this part of the world that you've avoided and neglected. So the fact that they made Aquaman a castaway, or he was an outsider, he's a pariah, actually, was why you would, have and of course he was really... It's like the part that's comparable between Killmonger and Aquaman's brother, whatever his name is Orm, yes, is the relationship. Atlantis is, because it's underwater, has been put on by the culture of Earth, or of humanity. So, they have a good reason to be angry at this populace.
You're telling me because of the pollution of the ocean.
Yes, all the pollution of the ocean. Yeah. So So I feel like that the drama of that, even though it's only played in a small way, was good. I mean, the stakes are believable. So, what they had to do to the stakes is, the sort of tried and true, like, oh yeah, of course you have to have. We must decide who will be the ruler by combat.
Again, which I always thought was weird in Black Panther. Really?
Yeah,
this is a highly advanced
Yeah.
civilization. You're like, no, we gotta fight to the death.
Yeah,
What? I don't know
Right.
How else would we do this?
Yeah.
It latches onto your point about Volko in that I think in a lot of stories, when there's political intrigue and the king is going to get turned over by usurper, it's usually the right-hand man.
Yes. Who's scheming.
It's the scheming prime minister guy or whatever. It's just funny that in this case, the scheming prime minister is actually working on behalf of the hero.
Yeah.
So he's a good guy. I will say this, though, that was interesting. So there's that scene where Willem Dafoe, is like, damn right, I've been working against you.
Yes.
Because, he's twice the king you are.
Yep.
Okay. To what we've seen, Orm seems like a homicidal psychopath or something like that.
Well, then one thing they didn't even acknowledge is the fact that he's actually goading them into war.
Yeah. But my point is, he was training. So we know that Arthur, Aquaman, is older. He's the older brother.
Yeah.
From Orm. Okay.
Right.
All right. So, and we see shots of Willem Dafoe training Arthur on the beach when he's a kid.
Yeah.
He's like a teen. I don't know. He's probably.
I feel like
15?
he's more 12 or 13, but maybe
like
15 maybe.
Certainly
at
not
different
adults.
ages. Yes.
Okay. So it sounds like if you take his speech, it sounds like he condemned Orm from when Orm was a little kid. Like, you were a horrible kid. And so I said, I'm going to train your older brother to come back and kick your ass because you're no one to be a king. I'm like, dude, anyway, give him a chance. It's kind of my point. It's like condemning him from an early age. Anyway, I know. He grew up to be a jerk.
Yeah.
He
grew up with... I suspect there were other, aspects that caused that to happen.
Yeah.
One thing I'm not clear about, though, is this. So, Aquaman's mother,
right,
has Aquaman and
Atlanta,
and lives for a while on the
right.
land.
Okay, right. So yes.
And then she's like, "I've got to go back, so you won't be hurt."
Correct.
And then, as far as Aquaman knew, she was killed.
Right, she was sacrificed to the deep or to the trench.
It's like she had a lot of time in between going back and getting sacrificed to have another baby.
I know. She got. It was probably an arranged marriage, but she got married. Right. She had another kid. She had a whole other life.
Yeah. And to the point where he would recognize her. So he was old enough to recognize her. You know, it's not like, oh, you're old and a female, you must be my mom. She was probably relatively old enough to recognize his mother and feel attached to her, to feel upset about the fact that she was dead and she meant something when she returned. So it was like, you know what? Thanks for having that kid, but I really don't like the fact that you left, so let's punish you. So I don't know, maybe somebody can tell me. That'd be great.
All right. What do you want?
Because then I wouldn't have to necessarily watch it, or another one.
So what do you want to know?
What happened? Why was there some time period between her going back and having a second kid and then getting cast off to be punished?
Yeah.
There you go. Maybe there's some comic that was released at the same time that has all the answers.
I did. I think that was my favorite of the action scenes was Aquaman going down to the trench with the flare and the deep one things. The creatures are attacking.
Okay.
I thought that was a pretty cool scene. Looked visually interesting. Did you have a favorite set piece or something like that you appreciated?
Not that springs to mind.
Nothing stands out particularly. Okay. So, all right. Obviously, they also tried to put it into it's a little forced, but it's probably, I'm going to guess, comes from the comics. But they tried to put an Arthurian.
Oh yeah.
Context on it.
Yeah, I mean,
felt a little weird.
I wonder.
Sword in the stone, grab the trident, you're the king.
Yeah, I feel like
your
that's
name's Arthur. See.
Yeah, I feel like that. Maybe that's why. Maybe his name is like that because of that, but who knows?
That was a kind of a forced tie-in there a bit, but sure.
Oh, yeah, you remind me of something I rank on here. This is a negative thing.
All right.
So he's there to get the sword, and there's the creature that's like, "Oh, you are not worthy," blah 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 blah, and then
voice of Julie Andrews.
Yes, and then Aquaman's like, "Ooh, I will now talk to you." And then the creature's like, "Oh, you can talk to me?" All that time he was just monologuing, like, "You don't even understand what I'm saying."
Right. The creature said an entire speech to Aquaman, and very specifically to Aquaman.
Yes.
Not like, "Oh, I've been here forever. Boy, this is boring." It's like, "You are more unworthy than most."
Yes.
You, and then wait. You can understand me?
Yeah.
You can understand me this whole time? Oh my God, what did I say? Oh no. Yeah, that was a little interesting.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll go, they threw in this kind of Indiana Jones-ish, we got to find the trident in the desert bit. But for Aquaman to be in the desert seemed a little, I don't know, it felt a little out of place. I think maybe especially since the movie was well over 2 hours. Maybe that section gets, I don't know. Anyway, in the middle of all that,
so that could be cut.
I think they wrote themselves into a corner. It's not horrible, but it's like, we've got to figure out this clue.
Yes.
And the clue is you got to put the spyglass in the hand of this statue.
Sure.
And then you can see the island where we got to go. Okay.
Yeah.
So they couldn't have Mira figure out the clue because she'd never been on land before.
Oh, yeah.
So she's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Who knows?
So they're left to have Aquaman figure this out.
Sure.
Which, the whole movie, he even calls himself a blunt instrument at one point. He's like, I'm just a blunt instrument. I'm going to kick ass. Yee-haw! And then suddenly he's like, oh, that's the statue of Romulus. Yeah. Why, that's the statue of Scipio Africanus. I'm like, you wouldn't know that.
He said his father told him.
He says a line. There's a line where he's like, my dad taught me stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't believe that?
He doesn't display any book sense at all throughout the entire
book learning.
Or from when we saw him in Justice League or anything like that. He's the surfer bro. And for him to just, I don't know, it just felt fake to me. I thought they were like, we got to have him, somebody has to solve this clue. Well, we can't have her do it. All right, he's going to learn all of a sudden. Oh, yes, that's Scipio Africanus, but he was a general and not an actual, I'm like, okay, you got that off the cuff, did you?
Yeah, I feel like
Arthur?
you're going to force me to defend Aquaman.
I noticed it at the time. I thought,
yeah, I think
because all the rest of the time he's beating stuff up, and he's like,
he beats stuff up, but you were reducing him, I think, unfairly.
Okay.
To being a lummox.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're doing it unfairly. I think.
Okay.
You know, he should be able to know something. Otherwise, then the fact that he's become a king is really bad. Actually,
it is. I kind of think like, how about the shot where he's killing all of his followers? That's not the best. Where they're like, I mean, obviously there's a war happening, but he's like, I need to stop this war. I'll do it, and I'll have the sharks attack their owners, and so he those are his people.
Sure.
I think Mira does point out, like, we should stop this because everyone's dying. First, let's kiss. This is more important to me to have this. Well, everyone that you're supposed to be ruling. I mean, imagine if you killed off a large number of the people you're supposed to be ruling, and then minutes later are like, hey, everybody, I'm your king. I don't know. I might be kind of like, hey, screw you, guy, who just murdered a bunch of us. I don't know.
Who said they murdered?
Well, killed in battle. All right.
Who said they were killed?
Oh, they were killed.
Who said?
They showed people dying, definitely. They had sharks with lasers. Those lasers were shooting people. Were they stun lasers?
No, but I mean,
when the sharks eating people?
Okay, so I thought it was cool because, like, I've forgotten all about that. They're right.
Laser sharks are cool, by the way.
So
I'll say that.
Once the sharks turn on their masters, I'm saying, who says that those sharks killed their masters?
Okay, I got the feeling they were killing them. All right, you think they were just like soft biting them?
Yeah, that's right. Like, there you go. Yeah. It might be like a dog, like, hey, come on, let me go.
Just saying, maybe he could have come up with a less deadly way to kill or to stop the people that he was about to be ruling within minutes. That's all. Instead of just killing them.
Who knows?
All right.
I don't care.
I
had other things that I disliked about this, though.
I'll say another thing that, because obviously the ending beat, the post-credit scene has, Black Manta's still alive, and there's Dr. Shin, who's this conspiracy theory guy.
I was actually disappointed. I mean, apparently they haven't stopped him from being in, DC movies. But
it was the Marvel guy from Ant-Man.
Yeah, it's
the FBI agent.
That FBI is a much better character for him to potentially play. They should really get on that and have him do.
It looks like he's going to be a co-villain. I think Dr. Shin is a villain in Aquaman in the comics, supposedly.
I don't read that.
I don't either.
That's the impression I get, but that's just not as good a role.
But my point is, does he really even he was so happy that he was getting finally proof.
Yes.
He's like, oh, this is underwater tech and blah blah blah. Okay, that last battle, that was all above the surface of the water.
Yes.
You see these giant ships and these things on legs.
Yeah. I was thinking there's no satellites around.
And the sea monster, Julie Andrews, came out of the water. And it was like, I'm like, surely he doesn't have to convince anybody at this point. Anyway, so yes, they made themselves known. Yeah. Let's put it that way.
Well, you would think.
You'd think.
But no.
No? All right.
People still think that guy's crazy.
He's crazy. That's crazy talk, you. Okay, here's... again, I guess this is more of a me thing, I guess, but I didn't really think they handled the tech for a society that's lived for centuries underwater. I thought they kind of put a human on land sensibility on these people who are living in Atlantis.
Oh, because of the traveling in the.
For instance, thing.
When you mentioned that before I'd seen the movie, I was like, wow, a lot of people are traveling. It didn't seem like that much to me.
Okay, because they were like, why do you need a sub? I mean, sure. I mean, we never see them get tired. We never see Aquaman get tired when he's swimming. But I suppose if you didn't want to get tired, maybe you have a vehicle that takes you around. Why do you have to make it airtight? They breathe water, right? Why would you... It seems like the idea of making a submersible...
Wait, who said it was airtight?
Well, in other words, they're breathing air. I don't think there's water in the sub, is there?
It seemed like it to me when I was watching it.
Yeah,
because their head was like...
Okay, all right. All right, then I'll give them that.
Yeah.
That they had... Because I thought the sub had...
I like that...
no water in it.
No, I liked that... I did like some of the... that there were... well, it's kind of a BS thing, but I liked it.
Sure.
That only the highborn could breathe air.
Yeah, right. I was even going to point that out. If the
stupid.
submersibles had air, then why would you do it? Because then you would kill everybody that was in it. But yes, right. Only the highborn could breathe air. But yeah, so it just because they can swim faster than these submersibles actually go, and they can breathe underwater, so it kind of defeats the purpose of having an underwater submersible.
And we knew that they would swim faster than these submersibles?
Oh, I mean, when Aquaman are like, here we go, when he's learning how to swim with Volko, and they're like, zoom, like they're swimming faster than a typical submarine would travel. Okay, maybe it's their tech. But you see their tech, and they're like in these little lanes, and they're going really slow. They're like it's like a highway of ships, and they look like they've enslaved sea turtles to carry stuff. I think they can swim faster than a sea turtle pulling a freighter or whatever. So anyway.
I mean, because those ones that are trying to escape in, those seem like they were jet propulsed.
Okay.
When they were like getting away, when they were they were going pretty fast.
Okay. All right. Good
Whatever.
point. All right. Also, the fact that the armor...
You're making me defend Aquaman.
It just occurred to me, it was like when he's like, oh, how do we get to land? She's like, well, if you want to get there, we got to get in a sub. And I was like, really?
Now I feel like it's... Now I want to be like, you know what? Well, it does suck.
But also the idea of many times Ocean Master has multiple sets of plate mail that he's wearing. Now, I know, but it didn't occur to me. I'm a nerd who thinks about armor and stuff like that. Like, first of all, there's the weight problem. Maybe they've got some magic metal that doesn't weigh anything. But like a typical plate mail, it weighs like over 100 pounds. You wouldn't swim in it. You'd die in it is what you'd do. Also, though, it's not made for movement. If you wear plate mail, you've got like big pauldrons on your shoulders, and you got, you can't move.
I'd forgotten that you talked about that. I watched it and I didn't think about it at all.
It's like it's not the design that someone who lives all the time underwater would create. You create something that allows you to swim and move. You wouldn't create big riveted plates that I can anyway.
It's unrealistic.
Yes. Damn you!
People
all right,
breathing underwater.
Yeah.
And talking.
But in that culture, I'm just saying, I think I would have maybe tried to create, for instance, the scales that he's got at the end when he's got scale mail on. Maybe that's a little like a fish scale style thing.
Yes.
That kind of makes more sense to me as opposed to giant metal. It was metallic, like big metallic plates with rivets. I mean, I was like, really? Like that's what you would design if you lived underwater? I don't know. All right, there you go. All right. Sorry, I'll get off the soapbox. Okay, another thing that I thought was thrown in and didn't feel particularly earned was the Black Manta father-son moment. So they're in the middle of killing off an entire sub full of Russian Navy guys.
Yep.
And they're kind of in the middle of the mission. They're like, hey, you know what? Your granddad used this knife to kill a lot of people.
Yes.
I'm giving it to you now, son.
He gave it to me, and I'm giving it to you.
Fellow pirate.
Yes.
While we kill for profit.
Yes.
I hope you can continue the family tradition of killing for profit.
Yes.
All right. Great, but I don't feel anything for that guy. That's a horrible dad. And why stop?
He is?
Yeah.
Why is he a horrible dad?
Because they kill for profit. They go around
but
killing
doesn't kill his son.
I'm just saying.
He's good to his son.
He's bringing up his son in this really morally horrible situation.
Yes.
And then I think the idea is we're supposed to be like, oh, look. Wow, they have a really loving relationship.
Well,
wow.
Well, since...
I'm like, screw you guys.
Yes, you should not feel any affinity for the villains. You shouldn't. The fact that the villains feel affinity for each other, sometimes they do.
Okay.
Sometimes villains love their fathers.
All right, you're saying it wasn't meant for us. I thought it was I thought it was attempting to show us like, look, wow, because he cares about his dad.
No,
so
it's
much
just
like,
creating.
revenge.
It's just creating that just so he can want revenge throughout the whole movie and into another movie. They want to establish why he wants revenge. Why he doesn't lost that one. It's like, no, he killed your father. And two, it's like that was not a very heroic thing for Aquaman to just leave. Like, let the sea.
The sea's mercy. Something like that.
Yeah.
Agreed. It was not a heroic moment.
No.
For sure. Now, did he kill the guy? No. But did he save him?
Right.
No.
Exactly.
Although, I'll say this too, though. He did thwart this guy's plan. As a result of what happened, the big, huge, missile basically, or fell on the guy.
Yes.
Probably injured him horribly.
Yes.
Best case scenario, Aquaman saves the guy.
Yes.
But he's still probably very hurt, and now he's languishing in jail for the rest of his life for murder.
Oh, so he did him a favor?
So, not to do him a favor, but in other words, let's say, as a result of his not saving Black Manta's dad, Black Manta hates him at 100.
Yes.
Yeah, I have 100 hatred for you.
Yes.
Okay. I got in a fight with your dad. I ended up saving his life.
Yes.
He's in jail for life now, and he's a cripple.
Right.
I'll hate you at an 85. Like, he's still going to hate him.
Yes.
And still want to kill him.
Right.
It's a matter of degrees.
Yeah.
I think it's not like, you know what, if you'd have saved his dad, you guys would have been friends. Never would have tried to get in your way again.
You're right. But dramatically, like, I did nothing wrong is not as dramatic as, I did let the guy die.
I'm just saying. I feel
like maybe he wouldn't have been trying as hard. Maybe he would have let me take care of my dad for a bit before I try to kill Aquaman.
Because the implication is, if he'd have turned around and saved the guy, that it wouldn't have, this enmity between them wouldn't have happened. They still would have been fighting each other. Like, eventually, there's going to be another moment where he's trying to steal a sub, and Aquaman shows up, and he's not going to be like, you know what? You only crippled my dad and put him in jail. Shake hands, and I'm out of here. Like, he's still going to try to kill him with that damn knife. But yes, it's a slightly less anger toward Aquaman because...
Right. There you go.
Okay, but yeah, all right. There you go. But yes, it's more of an Aquaman moment than a Black Manta moment, really. It's more like, that was kind of a dick move for Aquaman, as opposed to the meaning that it had for Black Manta, in my opinion.
Sure.
And
they were maximizing it, so the death of this father means less than, no, you sent my father to prison.
And so, obviously, at the end, when he decides
stakes.
not to kill Orm, and he's learning from his past mistakes, hey, I let the one guy die.
Well, yes.
I won't just kill you off.
Although, yes. And two, his mother's not like a couple of leagues back, so he's not gonna kill his brother because his mom is right over there, just waiting to come in. And,
that's true. Right in front of his mom would have been like, here's your son, Joe. Look at that. In the efforts of killing the son, I lost.
Wow.
Sound. There we go. All right.
Curse you, Aquaman!
Curse you,
Caused me to drop my mic.
I'm at 100 again. I was at 85. Now I'm back. All right, I'm looking at my notes. The guy with the underwater tech.
Wow, he got all these notes.
Killing his people. I know. There was just a lot of little things about this. Okay.
Yeah, it's amazing we get this much time out of it.
All right. Yeah, exactly. All right. I do have one last thing. But before we get there, because it's really, you think the armor thing
that's right.
is
I
bad.
forgot the obscurity.
So, do you have any final words before I launch into a particularly nerdy little rant?
Yeah, sure. No, my final thoughts on it is it wasn't that funny.
Comedy really did tank.
Yeah, and while I think maybe if the script was better or the director had a better sense of how to utilize, not that it was especially bad, but Jason Momoa, I think he's a perfectly decent Aquaman, but I don't think they're giving him material that's good enough. It's good that he's got a sense of humor and a sense of joy. That's the thing that worked about.
There was a sense of joy, I'll say that. More than humor, there was a sense of joy about it.
Right, yeah, worked for Wonder Woman as well in Batman v Superman, where she was like, yeah, all right, I get to fight, haha. So all that works, and he's a perfectly decent Aquaman.
And you believe he's a guy that can pull off the physical stunts that he does.
Yeah, but as you said before, you didn't say it during this broadcast, but he doesn't have any chemistry at all with Amber Heard, or whatever her name is. And Mira,
the lines they have when they're like traveling through the desert and when they're on there searching for the trident, like they keep trying to throw little comedic beats in there.
Yeah,
like
this is not working at all.
It just feels awkward and
no.
Like
and I liked her in other things, but not in this especially. So yeah. What's I can't remember the actor. I can't remember anything.
Can't remember anything. Jason Momoa.
No, his mother.
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman was okay. I mean, I don't know. They obviously want to get. That's the thing in these movies. You got to get real actors. I mean, it was a good enough part, I guess.
She had a
I just don't
cool
know if
fight
I
scene.
really. Yeah, I just don't really. Maybe I would like someone else better than that role.
It was a fairly, I mean, of the emotional, like, chemistry. I did like the emotional beat of her coming back to reunite with the dad. I thought that was because they kind of bookended the movie with, she shows up at the lighthouse, she promises to come back, she comes back.
Yeah, I just, I mean, I would have enjoyed a different take on royalty. I think that's what she was playing that whole time, and it just didn't.
In what way? What do you mean a different take on royalty?
I just kind of, I didn't think she was very warm, really.
Okay.
No, I just didn't buy it. I mean, there were, the whole time when she's not speaking or whatever, and it's like, oh, you're trying to make us think that she can't speak. It's just, I didn't really buy them actually as a couple.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
like, how can we have a character that looks like the guy we've chosen for a villain? Although I guess maybe they cast the other way. Like, oh, we got Nicole Kidman to be the mom, so let's cast some guy to look like, because actually the Orm looked more like
Patrick Wilson.
Orm looked more like Patrick, like a classic Aquaman than Jason Momoa.
Good point.
So it's just like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so yeah, I just.
Also, the bit with we saw it in the trailer, but the
I like the
little
older
kid
him.
Arthur with the aquarium was a little like, it felt a little after school special-ish.
Yeah.
What? Anyway, and then we also the aquarium broke, and then like there's this horrible accident at the Boston Aquarium, and then everyone dies, and they're like, wow, that kid was. Anyway, they didn't go that way.
Anyway, sorry. So now you're gonna get into the.
Oh, all right, here we go. I'm admitting up front, kind of like I was admitting that I was a big Namor fan, and hence a little biased against Aquaman. I'm admitting up front that this is pretty nerdy and not really has anything to do with the movie whatsoever. So if you want to just leap out now, I think we're done talking about Aquaman. We thought the movie was. I think I could say I enjoyed it, but it felt dumb. Kind of like it was a popcorn movie, and you can just forget about it afterward and you move on. But I did enjoy certain parts of it as it was happening.
You didn't enjoy certain parts. Oh, you did enjoy certain parts of it,
yeah,
and you didn't enjoy other parts of it.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I thought it was okay, but certainly would rather not see it again. And I'm still hoping that Shazam is more of a real sense of what's, not to discount Wonder Woman, but the fact that so much of the movie occurred in the past doesn't make you feel like it's a part of a greater universe.
Okay.
And also, too, that it makes it less relevant in terms of what kind of, how does she exist in the world now as we know it. So I'm really looking forward to Shazam. Hopefully that'll make me feel better about the DCEU. But anyway, if you're going to talk about this and you're giving people the option of leaving, we should also talk about. We got Monday or Tuesday. We're going to be talking about Counterpart.
Definitely Counterpart coming up on hopefully Monday. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the end of the week, Discovery comes around. We'll probably be talking about it in the following week.
Yeah.
And there's something else that's coming around the bend quickly as well, but I'm forgetting. But in any case, those two things for sure. All right, here we go. All right. It's fun. We were just talking about Nicole Kidman, her relationship with Aquaman's dad, whose name if we say his name, I don't remember it anyway. But it's in that scene where, in the montage of them being a family, there's a very specific shot that shows their like coffee table. I think it's the scene where he gives her tea and she's like, "Wow, it's tea."
Oh god, that tea scene.
Just tea. And it shows on the coffee table a book. One book. It is the Dunwich Horror. And it shows it on the spine of the book and it lingers on it for a second like, "This is important, you." And it pulls away. All right.
So funny. You mentioned it to me before I saw the movie. And then I saw the movie. And then afterwards, like, there was a book? I was just like...
Damn it, it was right there. All right. Maybe I'm making this up. I'm not making it up.
No, you probably aren't. I'm sure you...
But in other words, it wasn't like, oh, in a library filled with book titles, this was one of 10. It's one book, and it's sitting there, and they deliberately show you the title. It's like just the title is sitting there, Dunwich Horror. Okay. So, that's an H.P. Lovecraft short story. In the pantheon of H.P. Lovecraft stories, there are many stories that are actually pretty relevant in some way to this Aquaman story. I would tell you that Dunwich Horror is kind of not one of them. Like, there are a bunch that are more relevant to this story than Dunwich Horror.
If it's only kind of not one of them, then maybe...
Well, for instance, a lot of H.P. Lovecraft stories, a lot of them take place either on the water or in a port town, and it involves creatures from the deep. This is not one of those stories.
No?
It's inland, it's like farmland, and the creature at issue in Dunwich Horror is Yog-Sothoth. Yog-Sothoth is a creature from the space. Oh, and he'll come down and so he's not even from the water himself. If I were, let's say, slipping a book in that I thought was relevant, perhaps I would have chosen the short story Shadow over Innsmouth, another very popular H.P. Lovecraft book, which involves Innsmouth, a port town, where it turns out there's deep ones from a civilization underwater that no one knows about that have been breeding with human folk, and our narrator finds out he's a hybrid, and he's going to return to the deep, and there's a war going on between the deep ones and the humans, and they make sacrifices to this great underwater creature called Dagon. Anyway, there's a whole lot of it relates. You could say, oh, Shadow, I get it. But to put Dunwich Horror there, it feels like someone was like, oh, I like H.P. Lovecraft, and it influenced me in this particular design. Well, just put an H.P. Lovecraft book there, bloop, without thinking, maybe we'll pick one that makes sense. Make one that makes sense.
See, maybe they cut out a scene wherein, he was sitting there and he's like, oh, I love all these H.P. Lovecraft. He's like, here's another one. He's like, oh, well,
right.
Okay.
Or, yeah, it's little Arthur's trying to read Dunwich Horror, and the dad is like, oh, well, that's a good book, but I don't know if you've ever read Shadow over Innsmouth, son.
Yeah.
Maybe you should read that one. Yeah. It's a little more informative to your particular state.
Yeah.
Like,
let's start you
they
first.
Cut it for time.
Yeah, there you go.
In the 3-hour director's cut, there's going to be that scene where they read Shadow over Innsmouth together, and then Arthur realizes he's half Atlantean.
Maybe then Arthur's like, oh, I should read another book by H.P. Lovecraft. Maybe this is good. Or maybe Arthur's like, I know you love H.P. Lovecraft. Here's a book. Oh, thanks, son.
Thanks,
I really
son.
Just like the ones where...
I just like the ones with water
in them, yeah.
So there you go. I'm not sure why Dunwich Horror was the book they chose of all the H.P. Lovecrafts they could have chosen.
Otherwise, 4 stars.
Otherwise, 4 stars. Exactly. It was an A. Then now it's an F. No. All right. So I get it. Silly detail, but I noticed it. So there. Now I've said it. It's off my chest.
That's right. Ooh.
I've given it to you. It's a curse. I've given it to you now. The burden.
You can't unhear it.
Nope.
Or see it.
Okay. So yes, we'll be back with Counterpart very soon, everybody. So bye now.